Hello, everyone. Thanks for being with me and happy holidays. This particular segment is Life, Trauma, Love. It's all about my life's journey and the lessons that I've learned. And I'm sharing with you in hopes that it will help encourage and also maybe help some of you not feel so alone. I remember we left off where my mom had passed and I was living with my grandmother. So that was at 10. So now I'm going to go up to 13. I was put on birth control because one of my aunts heard about this 11 or 12-year-old that had gotten pregnant, and I was 13 at the time. So I was not happy about it. There wasn't much talk of it from my sister or anyone. They took me to the clinic. Definitely didn't like going to the clinic, but I got used to it. I remember playing softball one year and no one came to my games. My grandmother didn't like driving at night when it got dark, so she couldn't do much at times. And my best friends, since the second and third grade, they would come to school and talk about, what they did with their mothers for that weekend or on Mother's Day and what they got their mothers. They just didn't realize how much my mom's death affected me. I got into my first fight in the fourth grade. This girl hit me from behind because the guy that she liked me. I had no interest in him. I was so angry and so sad and confused during those times. From fourth grade on up, actually. My mom died when I was she died in fourth grade at the end of the school year. I also remember fighting this girl on the school bus because she said, "Yo, mama." And if anybody's, grew up in the 80s and 90s, those were fighting words. My grandmother had words to me about my anger and keeping my hands to myself. And another time I pushed this girl for doing the same thing. I pushed her and I hit her that next year in middle school. And the teacher, he just had a talk with me. Maybe he had sympathy or empathy for me. Maybe he knew what it was like and just didn't want me to get in trouble. Most of my peers thought that my oldest sister was my mom. They had no clue what I was dealing with. And the girls were jealous of me for no reason at all, hence the fight. And I also remember one time one of my classmates lived down the street from my grandmother's, and her sister, I overheard her sister saying, she really ain't cute. She's just light skinned. I don't know why people think she's so pretty. And stuff like that never even crossed my mind. I was surviving. I was just existing, really, and just trying to figure it out, trying to make my way through life. Um, at 14, I asked to move out. I asked my grandmother about moving out to go live with my sister. I didn't feel wanted. And I remember one time coming home, I had been gone all weekend. I think I stayed with my dad, and family members were over. And I want to say it were some kids there around my age, but I was the only one made to clean up when they got ready to leave. And I remember when my cycle came on the first time, and she yelled at me because I interrupted her being on the phone. And when she got off the phone, she gave me this cloth diaper to put between my legs until one of my aunts got me some pads. And when she did give me some pads, they were the hugest pad I ever seen in my life. Well, now I know they're the hugest pad I ever seen. And I remember One time, a boy called the house. She got so upset and said something along the lines of, if your mom knew, she would be turning over in her grave. And that just, I didn't give the boy my number, first of all. Yes, it was 4 years later, but I was still in this, I was still dealing with everything. So I just wasn't there yet as far as me being a typical teenager. When I asked her to move out, we had a good heart to heart about everything. She apologized and gave me her experience of having to take in a kid in a whole new generation. Hence the cloth diaper she gave me for my cycle. We became much closer and had a better relationship afterwards. She was like my older best friend. I still moved out to live with my sister, and she had 2 kids at the time, plus my niece that my mom had adopted. It was about the same living with her as far as, me staying in my room a lot and listening to music. Jodeci, Boyz II Men, Mary J. It was sad in me, though, a lot to see her, interact with her kids and do the normal mom, daughter, mom, son thing. After living 4 years or so, my grandmother had got used to sleeping in complete silence because everything had to go off in her house. But I was finally able to have the fan on while I was under the covers. And my sisters, but with my sister and her kids, they like to sleep with the TV on, so I was definitely glad I had my own room. Soon after, she had got this live-in boyfriend and had another baby with him. I remember she would fuss about us cleaning up, and it really wasn't us, it was her too, and mainly my nephew. I still have dreams of living there. It was neither situation was ideal. I also remember that we go skating, go to the skating rink on the weekends and dance, skate and meet up with our friends, and we'll get to see the boys that we were liking at the time. Remember one time my other sister, my middle sister, she had this boyfriend who had this real raggedy car, and he picked us up one time from the skating rink, and we had to be outside in front of everybody waiting for him to pull up. And we would do, just the typical teenage stuff, go to the movies, go to the mall. This particular summer, I went back to Detroit, and they had moved to a better side of town, and my aunt worked nights. And my cousin would have her boyfriend come over. And of course, he would bring his friends because my cousin and I came up to visit. This time it wasn't just me, it was another cousin of mine. She came also. And that particular summer, our cousin talked us both into losing our virginity. She talked about how great it would be, pretty much convinced us that it was the best thing ever and that we should do it. And we both had no desire to, but she went on and on about it. And we looked up to her, especially with her being from the big city and we're from country town. And I remember my grandmother and aunts would, talk about the stuff that she would do. And they would send pictures of her, and she would be, her cheerleading outfit, and she was in this dance group, and she dressed so well. She was our big cousin. So we didn't like it. Neither one of us liked it, and we both regretted it later. my situation was like nothing. It was like a procedure. Don't recall any type of touching or sweet talk or anything. It was just like, let's do it and that's it. So I told her that I didn't like it. I told her how the situation was, and she was, so adamant that I should try it again. That's not right. This is it's supposed to be way better than that, blah, blah, blah. So she had me try it again. Now, mind you, I did think the guy was cute, but not to the point to where I wanted to lose my virginity. But also at the time, I really didn't even realize what losing my virginity really was, or what it meant. I would say until later on, what it really meant for me. So tried it again. That didn't work either. So I just didn't try it anymore. After I got back home, months went by. I was 15 by now, and this guy liked me. I didn't even like him like that. But my cousin, she said, none of that matters. You don't go by looks. They can do it, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, maybe it'll work out this time. So I got with him, and once again, no. And I didn't even talk to him no more after that, because that was the only reason why I even talked to him the length of time that I did, because of what my cousin said. And just thinking back, I have no clue why I I guess being 14 and 15, why I just took her word as everything. Like, that's it. Can't be no other reason or solution, rhyme or reason. But anyway, time went on, and then I got my first boyfriend, and he was someone that I actually liked, that I was actually into and felt comfortable with and was friends with. And so I finally got to experience what my cousin was talking about. And it was on then. I got to the point to where I was sneaking in, and he would ride his bike over, and he did not live close by. He would ride his bike over in the cold, the dark, everything. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here and talk about what I learned, what I realized now looking back. Looking back, I realized, well, now knowing the energy and the power that music has and that it carries, music was definitely my saving grace. It kept me sane for the most part during my grieving. Also, parenting, as far as knowing when to put your daughter on birth control, or when to have that talk with your son about sex. I know now that my folks did the best that they could. I do feel like there could have been some conversation, with having the older sisters that I have, and older cousins that I have, all the aunts that I have. I guess no one talked to them, so they didn't feel there was a need to talk to me. But I can say to any young people out there that's listening, definitely safeguard yourself, respect yourself, hold yourself to high regard. Um, the situation with my cousin, when I did get to a point where I would think back and I started feeling some type of way towards her and how that situation went. I did reach out to her and I talked to her because communication is important. You can't assume that someone knows how you feel or feels the same way you feel and, hold grudges when you could just simply have a conversation with them. And I did have a conversation with her and she completely understood and she regretted her actions as well. And she was, I think she was only just like 2 years older. And she was in her own space, dealing with her own traumas. And, that's just how she thought at the time. For me, it would have been ideal to have a big cousin to say, wait until you want to, until you desire to do that. Wait until you have someone that treats you well and cares for you, which is what I would say to you, ladies, now, if you're listening. Definitely wait until you feel like that's what you want to do. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. Also, looking back, growing up, I'm sure my sister didn't realize, well, I know she didn't realize the effect that losing our mom had on me at such a young age. And I know that life goes on, so she did what she supposed to do, love on her kids, and life goes on. I just wish that I had someone that talked to me more about certain things, about my body, as growing up as a turn into a young woman, even how to bathe properly. I remember having to, I bathed with this, I can't remember what soap it was. Whatever the soap it was given to me. And that soap burned me so bad, and I went years using the wrong soap and having, irritations here and there, not realizing that you're not supposed to use the same soap as you use on your body, or you use a mild soap. Of course, I figured out as I got older what pads and tampons worked for me and how to use them. I figured that stuff out on my own. And knowing that whatever, just because someone else has a certain experience does not automatically mean that you're going to have the same experience. We're individuals. Embrace your path and what your experience is going to be. Don't compare yourself to others. So, in the comments, let me know, what are your thoughts? Keep it positive as usual. Do you even remember losing your virginity? What was your saving grace back when you were younger, when you were dealing with certain things as a young teen? Was it a good experience for you? Bad experience? Did you have parents that talked to you, that poured into you? Did you have an older sister or cousin, neighbor that talked to you about female stuff? Put it in the comments, let me know. And until next time, be who you want others to be to you. But don't let people mistreat you.